Hey everyone. So, I always used to have all these excuses for why I don't want to make videos because I thought, like, okay, I have to, I think as women, we think we have to look a certain way, act a certain way before we feel our voices can be heard. So, I just decided, like, screw it, I'm going to be my authentic self. And I want to share today a video about my daughter and how I've been alienated from her for about 7 months now. And I feel like for the past 3 months, I've been doing something a little unconventional. I've been sending her heart energy. So I'd be going into deep meditation, and then I'm connecting with my heart with her heart, kind of like remote Reiki, but more intense than that. And slowly, I feel like I'm starting to see a difference. Like I see that she's starting to read my emails. She's starting to, um, like her brother lives with her, and he tells me that she is actually crying a lot more. And the thing about trauma is people think that we have to relive it in order to clear it, but really what trauma clearing is you can do it in conventional ways like EDMR, but I don't have access to that. Like I can't make her go to therapy right now. So what I've been doing instead is like until I can maybe help her get into therapy, because right now her father does not allow me into her life at all. And so what I've been doing is every single day I go into meditation, and I clear my morphogenic field. I clear all my etheric bodies, all the auric levels up to the fifth dimension. And then I bring in my soul essence, and I purify my soul essence. And then I connect from my heart to her heart. And I try to, clean her auric fields, and I try to help her refill her soul, um, like her soul into her body so that her soul is embodied in her body instead of just being fragmented. And so what I'm finding is that apparently my son tells me that she's crying, and I feel crying is actually a really good way to release trauma that we didn't maybe even know we had. And so what happens is our trauma gets stored in our body, and that's usually where we get sick. That's usually where we have pain. And a lot of people have the misconception that, they're going to go to therapy, they're going to have to talk it out, but talking doesn't really release trauma. Uh, Trauma is stored energy in our cells, in our organs, and we have to release that trauma. So you can do it in many ways. That's why EDMR I think is really effective. And I know there's like tapping. People can do tapping, and that's effective. But what I do is I will connect to my heart, and I will consciously visualize that energy clearing, and then I will replace it with like my divine soul essence. And uh, a lot of people who I've done this with have told me that like later, like maybe a few hours later, they'll just start crying. And so even though we do it on the energy level first, like it gets released in the physical like soon after that. And so that I find is like a really really effective way of clearing and healing trauma. Um, it's not for everyone because you do have to be really in tune with your spirit and your eternal heart flame that's connected to like the divine source, all that is. So it's definitely not for everyone, but it has been very, very helpful for myself, and I think it's helping my daughter. Like it's not instant, but I do feel that like I remember when she first had trauma, like earlier on, like sometime maybe like fall last year, she admitted to me when I saw her that she couldn't cry. She was completely frozen. So she started to have that splitting that happens when you have deep trauma. And the splitting happens almost like an onion. Like the more people detach from their emotions, it starts to layer on like an onion. And then every single layer you have to end up clearing, you have to end up releasing. And so healing can take quite a long time. But it's really like people make healing into something that's so feared and so complicated, but it's really not. Um, if we actually do it the proper way, which is releasing energy and then replacing it with our soul essence, it can still be it can feel strange, right? Because we're actually connecting to the living, all that is light of the universe, of the divine consciousness, instead of like running on the dead light that we have with like the false matrix and the AI matrix. But eventually, um, we start to feel better because we are we are like basically tuning into our eternal, pure, divine love. And we start running our soul and our body on that light, the light of the unified primal fields of sound and light, which is what creation, which are the fields of creation, right? And so I find that that's a very effective way to heal. It's not for everyone, but it is what I've been trying with my daughter, and I feel like it's starting to make a difference because she is starting to actually feel the tears. So she's starting to release all that trauma from her body, which is really, really important. Um, and I don't know what else I can say on that. I guess I'll have to just see how it goes because, like, once you start to get connected to your inner spirit, you start to get more courage to actually speak out and to have boundaries and to say no to things that you may have been too afraid to say before. So I see her as starting to just maybe have boundaries with people around her, saying no, this is my life, I need to do what's best for me. And that's kind of what I'm envisioning for her. So when I go into meditation, I'll also visualize, and I'll say affirmations that I think are empowering for her and for our relationship. So that's another way I do it. um so if anyone's interested in finding out more, you can get in touch with me. But I feel like we can't just keep having excuses. Oh, when are we going to actually connect with others? When are we actually going to share what's working in terms of healing from the mass trauma that's just being done to us every single day? We have to actually start taking action and actually start doing the steps to heal. And that's not always going to be conventional. It's not always going to be mainstream. It's going to be very personal to our spirit. And that's why I really like the spirit journey, because when we connect within, no connection is going to be the same as anyone else's connection. It's going to be very unique and personalized to us because we all have a unique and unique personal relationship with the God consciousness, with the divine, all that is. So it's going to be very different for everyone. And it's such a simple thing to do, and it's so effective. And yeah, I highly recommend it to everyone. I know it's kind of a big learning curve. Like, it's easy for me to say because I've been meditating for 10 years and not in the conventional way. Like, I've been doing creative visualization. That's how I started. So I'm working with my imagination. I'm working with shamanic journeying. And that's not for everyone, I know. But for me, it's been really, really effective. And the reason I like it is because when you use another method, like another method external to yourself, you can get hacked. Um, because these methods can be infiltrated, and then you might end up, with some nefarious type of energy around you that's really hard to clear. Like, unfortunately, I made that mistake. I was trying to do someone else's meditation in December, and I got hijacked for a little bit, and it took like 60 days to clear. And then I had to go to one of my friends who's a psychic, and she said, I see this like slithery kind of silver snake around you. And that at least helped me because I knew I was dealing with like a serpent energy, but I didn't know, like, so by her telling me that it's silver, I realized, okay, this is from the ninth density. And so then I actually psychically projected into the ninth dimension, and I just spoke with that serpent collective. And they told me that the reason that they were able to even enter and infiltrate me or hijack me is because I had resonant trauma there. I had trauma there that was resonating with their energy, and I had to like tap into that trauma, which is like an old trauma wound of being separated, right? That we all have the separation wound of being like ripped apart from our soul, our spirit family, um, ripped apart as spirit beings. And that's basically what they enacted with me and my children, because they ripped them apart and they took them by gunpoint. And it was like there was no transition, there was no goodbye, there was just boom, they came, they took them, and they left. And so that's the kind of ripping that a lot of us I think pretty much all of us have experienced when we came here, because this is the realm of separation where we believe we're separated from the divine, but we're not. uh and so I feel like that trauma is deep, 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 deep within us, and it sits in our lower, like 1D and 2D uh, root and sacral chakras. Okay, and then it moves up to our solar plexus, to our mental body, and to our heart. And, you know, we cannot really fully tune into our heart until we heal some of that trauma. I think tuning into our heart, into the divine, is a process of just slowly bringing back our soul fragments, our soul aspects, clearing out all the negative energy that's not us, that's all the trauma, or that's all these entities that are vibrating at a resonant frequency to our trauma. So that's how they can enter us. So I know this is all very esoteric and it's all in the spirit realm, but it's real. I mean, like, it's funny because I didn't tell my friend anything about what was going on, and she was able to just right away, she was able to know exactly what it was that was around my auric field. And I'm like, how did you know? Like, this is amazing, right? Like, even though I'm like pretty psychic and spiritual, I was still very impressed that she knew right away what it was. And then by her telling me that information, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and communicate with them. I'm gonna find out, like, what exactly is it? Why are they? Why did they invade my space? Why are they there? Because it was such a sticky, kind of gross energy that just wouldn't go away. Like, I was doing I was doing energy clearing. I was doing cord cutting. I was doing protection, like, energy protection every single day. I was meditating. I was eating a really clean diet. I was fasting, and I still couldn't get rid of it. And I really had to tune in, like, tune deep within and feel into that trauma. And it wasn't even that painful to clear. Like, I just had to tune into it. And then I felt this overwhelming, like, overwhelming grief of that initial separation. When we were forced to fall and we were ripped apart basically from the divine, and we were ripped apart from our spirit families, okay? And even from our own soul essence, like, our souls were split. Our own soul was split. And that was like the deep trauma, and it was in my sacral. And I had to clear that. And once I cleared that, like, boom, like, that serpent energy was gone. So, I mean, people see serpents as really evil and stuff. And, like, yeah, the serpent is responsible for our fall. But the serpent is only there because we resonate with it. Like, we have to actually take the responsibility to then tune into it and clear it and heal it. So once I did that, like, I was good. So I just wanted to let everyone know, like, healing is very possible. Healing is not necessarily what we think of in the mainstream and in the 3D world. It could be very interdimensional, which is tapping into the phantom realms of our fall, and multidimensional, which is tapping into the 15 densities of our connection with the unified fields of sound and light. Right? That is like heaven. That is like the divine source. All that is like what we call that is what basically God connects to in creation, right? Like, what we on earth think of as God is actually tuning into that unified field, that Godhead, tuning into that unified field of sound and light, which is like heaven, which is the field of pure joy, pure love, pure peace, which is everywhere. So the fact that we're here and we don't feel love we don't see and feel love everywhere, it's just not normal. Like, this is inverted. Everything here is running on this anti-life energy, because it's all based on separation energy, and that's not normal. Like, that's not how the divine harmonious universe is at all. And so we come here and that's why we're so hungry for love. And then they tell us that love is like all these things that it's not, like addictive love, codependent love, love about controlling, love about dominating, and none of that is love. That's all just different layers of the trauma that we originally suffered, that's then in our body, and that's in our cells, and that makes us ill as well. So I just want to share, that's kind of my journey with parental alienation so far, and how I'm dealing with it. I mean, I'm gonna keep updating to see how things go, but it's a slow process because my daughter has to first start to feel. And I think the fact that she was crying, my son told me she was really crying a lot. She's starting to release all that pent up trauma, like all that trauma that's in her body. And I'm hoping that in time I'll be able to get her into some good therapy, like some complex post traumatic stress disorder therapy. Maybe some EDMR. I know that's like apparently where you do the rapid eye movement and you're able to release the trauma as through that motion of your eyes. And then there's also tapping, which you're able to tap into the different areas of your body that's blocked. I've never tried those modalities because I've always just been working with energy and moving energy and light and healing that way. But I mean, I think I've heard from a lot of people that those are really effective ways to heal as well. Anyways, I hope everyone has a great day, and thanks for watching my video on trauma. And this is trauma that we're all, to one extent or the other, we've all experienced this trauma. I think it's a collective trauma of our initial separation from the divine and how painful it is, right? And that leads to a host of just mental health issues, loneliness, depression, um, like narcissistic type of behaviors, which I really call like running on the current, that Black Mirror current of anti-life energy. Okay, I hope you have a great day. Bye.